Hello and welcome to Your Exceptional Life, episode 36. Marcus Pearce here with you for this weekly podcast dedicated to helping you master the art of all 8 areas of your life purpose, your movement, your social life, your nutrition, your love and relationships, your growth, your wealth, your soul, your spirit, your faith, and often your productivity. Thanks for joining me. Really hope you've enjoyed the last few weeks. This is, I think, about the 5th time we have done this newer version of Your Exceptional Life, and I really want your feedback. I'd love to know how you're finding it, and I would love to know how are you consuming it, because I'm delivering this podcast in many different ways. You might be watching it on video, that might be on YouTube or on Facebook. You might be seeing this in little snippets on Instagram. You might be listening through iTunes or through Stitcher or through my website at marcuspearce.com.au. So I'd love to know how are you consuming it and how you finding it, whether you're watching it or listening to it, or whether you're delving through the show notes with the links, because as you can probably tell, I'm trying to make this very content rich, information rich, so you really get a sense of there's no fluff in living your exceptional life. I mean, there's fluffy moments, but there's a lot of, as I like to call it, devil in the detail. And so naturally, I'm doing everything I can to give you as much detail and help and support in living your exceptional life. And I'd love to know how you are going with this, I suppose, newer version of the podcast. All right, so as you know, I like to do, I'll go through my week, what I've learned, what I haven't learned, the wins, the losses, all the rest of it. And generally, I like to start on your career or your life purpose. It's a massive focus. It's my highest value. It's doing what I love, loving what I do. But really, there's been some staggering research which I've come across this week, and I feel compelled to share it over and over and over again. And so I'm often looking at research in kind of job satisfaction. Most of the people that enroll in my Exceptional Life Blueprint or get one-on-one mentoring with me is really about clarity of their career, of their life purpose. What am I here to do? And then how do I go about doing it? And it could be career transition. I've had many jobs, but this is my third big career, so to speak. So I've had a career change at least twice. And that's where a lot of my work seems to be on, in helping people in their career, whether they're high-level executives or their mums that have been, out of the workforce for many years and they're going to re-enter it. Generally, life purpose career stuff is what I seem to help a lot of people with. They see a lot of value there. And so I'm often looking for insights into where people sit. How fulfilled are you in your career? Are you doing what you love and loving what you do? And a lot of the research that I come across tends to show that we have a relatively high level of job satisfaction. Until I came across this I found in the Business Insider, and it wasn't just a little bit of research. It was done over 140 countries, and it really came down to how engaged are you in your work. So really, you could say, how present are you with your work? How much are you actively, use that word again, engaging in your work, problem solving and working through it, and really kind of focusing on your work. And the stats were staggering. Let me read it, because otherwise I'll bang on about this forever. So there were polls conducted across 140 countries in 2011 and 2012. And what it showed was that 13% of people across the globe, across all those countries, 13% of people on planet Earth were engaged in their work. That's 13, which means 87% of people are not actively engaged. They could be disengaged in some form. Either they just cannot stand their work, they make an effort not to do their work, they find it unstimulating, so they're not engaged, they're off with the fairies. I'm talking like 13 out of every 100 people getting up and going, I'm looking forward to doing this work. I mean, that's a staggering number. You must be truly exceptional to be into your work. 87% of people are not. And I'm not going to get down about it. I just think that we were here to do something great with our lives. And almost 9 out of 10 people are spending a large chunk of their life disengaged. That is just, it is mind-boggling. And this is done by Gallup, so it wasn't, again, this is an intensely detailed poll. Some people might go, yeah, but in other countries the numbers would be different. They do vary, right? So if you're in Australia like I am, it's about 24% of Australians are actively engaged. But still, I'm still glass half empty on this. It's 76% of people are disengaged. Like, that's still 7.5 out of 10. It's a staggering number. The numbers were you know, like where the working conditions were less. So China and East Asia had 6%. Now again, you could probably argue that that's somewhat understandable. And then you could say, well, you know, when I'm talking to corporates, you know, I tend to see this as an example of, well, if you want a higher performing team, then you must find people and you must develop people to be more actively engaged. There's no doubt the companies that have the most actively engaged employees or staff are going to be the better performing companies. You could say that about families. The most actively engaged families, like they love their family, they work on their relationships, they create experiences together, all of the rest. They are going to be more powerful, influential, fulfilled families than those that are disengaged from each other. So this goes across all areas of life. But really, on a work front, the question I have for you, dead set, is are you in the 13%? Are you in that exclusive, exceptional club, or are you one of the 87%? If we're in a global village, are you in the team, which is the majority rules of people that are disengaged in their work? If you are, I'm telling you right now, you got to get out. It will be sucking the life out of you. There are a multitude of consequences which I could go through. Some of the biggest ones are you are playing Russian roulette with regret. Regret that you get to the end of your life and there's nothing you can do about it anymore. And you go, oh my gosh, I screwed it up. I screwed it up. A large chunk of my life, I screwed up because I didn't have the courage. I didn't work on getting the clarity. I didn't actually sit down and make a decision. And then I say, well, what kind of example have you set to the people around you, particularly if you have children? Are you setting an example of mediocrity? When anyone is born, no one says, well, that person, you know, they're going to be in the 87% of people that are disengaged in their work. That is not what happens when someone is born. I then kind of got on a bit of a roll and started looking at the odds of being born or the odds of being alive, and it's something like 1 in 400 trillion. Like, you are so unique. Your life is so against the odds. When you think it's 1 in 20,000 chance that your parents would meet, it's then a 1 in 2,000 chance that your parents would stay together long enough to have a baby. And then it's astronomical that it would be someone like you. I mean, the odds of you being alive are against you, but you're here, so you're defying the odds. So don't go and waste those incredible odds on an average job that doesn't actually light you up. And so really just, you know, really got to sit on this. So, you know, I've just got 3 points here. 3 points. Because in the confines of a podcast, you know, I run a whole 3-day retreat on this, life purpose and spiritual mastery, and I've got about maybe another 3 or 4 minutes to bang on about this. But let's just work on 3 things, right? First thing, I've gone through 13%. Bring the best version of you to work. Now, when I say if you want to transform from the 87% to the 13%, if you go to work saying, I hate my job, I hate my job, I hate my job, you're going to bring a lousy version of yourself to work. So then I'm like, all right, bring the best version of you. Bring your best personality, bring your joy, bring your generosity, bring your kindness, bring your listening skills, bring your communication, bring your tone of voice, bring the best version of you. Bring the best mate version. Bring the best dad or the best mum or the best, you know, treat everyone in your business like a brother, a sister, a mum, a dad, a grandparent, a cousin, an auntie, an uncle, a daughter, a son, wherever they are, treat them like family. That will bring the best version of you out and about. So if you don't, and honestly, I'm not saying this to be fanciful, you might think I'm eternally optimistic. I don't think this is optimistic. I think this is the gift that you've been given in life. If you don't bring the best version of you to work, you're not going to love your work. You can't bring an average version of you and love your work. They don't go together. They just don't go together. So bring the best version of you. Then it's like, all right, well, you need to identify what the best version of you is. That is work for another day. I don't think it'll be ready by the time this podcast is out, but I'm developing a new program called the Exceptional Career Breakthrough, and there'll be some training videos on that completely free. And then if you want to enroll in the Exceptional Career Breakthrough, then you can and you will. I'll update these show notes as soon as it's ready to go. But if you're already listening to this going, yeah, I actually need to really add some detail to my exceptional career, like what is the best version of me, what does that look like, then I'll be going through all of that in that program. All right, slide number 2. Manage and then excel in your personal life. Because once you begin to manage your personal life, you'll begin to bring that better version of you to work. But you have less stress. when your personal life is managed. When your personal life is managed, I'm not even talking about exceptional, but when it's managed, you can bring a better quality person to work, you can focus more on work, you're not being distracted by personal stuff at work. But here's the deal. Most people are not managing their personal life. They're not just tolerating mediocrity, they're tolerating just whatever the word is below mediocrity. Probably not fit for listening ears, particularly if you're driving the kids to school as you listen to this. If your life is everywhere, if your life is a mess, I'm not saying to you right now, shoot for exceptional. I'm just saying get it managed. So when your life purpose, actually just bring a nice person to work. That's just beginning to manage your mindset. That's beginning to manage you. Just if you're not moving at all, just move a bit. Move 5 minutes a day. Go for a walk. Just get the feeling of just a breath of fresh air. Just get some of it together. Just manage any areas of your personal life. Pay off some bills. Call your mum and dad if you haven't spoken to them. Just do something that makes you feel better about your personal life. It's really difficult to engage fully in work when everything else on the outside is like this, is a roller coaster. So just make sure that you are at a minimum managing. Now again, stuff comes up in life. You've got children are sick, someone dies, you get a flat tire, like you have volatilities in your life, but the volatilities and how you deal with them all happens between the ears. All right, so how you manage that is essential. Particularly, I love the gratitude of contrast. Like, if you really find it difficult to even just manage your personal life, first of all, think about how much of a blessing it is to have a job. Even if it's a job you don't like, how much of a blessing it is to have children. Even if they're giving you the heebie-jeebies, there are plenty of people out there that would love to have your children. Think about just having 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 eyes, 2 ears, a nose, a mouth, all the rest of it. Even if, you're feeling ill and icky and you can't even breathe out of your nose and you can't hear because you've got a blocked ear, whatever it is, just get the gratitude of contrast rolling in your life. You allow yourself to manage your life much more when you can do that between the ears. And you begin to feel more like you're a part of that 13%. All right, and then consciously decide, and this is a bit more higher level stuff, consciously decide if you are doing your life's work. Now this again is next level stuff, okay? And again, I'm probably going more into the work that I do in the Exceptional Career Breakthrough Program, but this is the stuff. And I say it over and over and over again. You must do what you love and love what you do if you truly are going to live your exceptional life. Now, there are some different permutations on this, but the very beginning is to identify what you love to do. Now, if you haven't identified what you love to do, simply ask yourself the question, what do I love to do? And start writing a list. It's really, really important. So, that's a conscious choice. That's a really conscious choice. As I said, if you're stuck on this, there will be some new trainings coming on this soon. I'll update the show notes as soon as it's raring to go. But you really must get clarity on your life purpose and your career to be part of that 13%. Don't live your life in 87%. The consequences are disastrous. Disastrous. All right, now let's talk about social life. It's been a very social week for me this week. Caught up with my good mate Guy Lawrence from 180 Nutrition. Catching up with people in real life, it just fills the bucket so much. We just went for a walk on the beach. We had a smoothie down at Combi in Byron. We talked the talk about business, about life, about all types of things. But again, that social engagement, pulling yourself out from either the workspace or the family space or wherever you are to engage with people. Very important. Had a very good catch up with Bronnie Ware, Carly Nimmo over at Carly's house, Shara Carruthers. We've got something bubbling along for 2018, which is very exciting. We all caught up at Carly's, and it was just fun to be. We could have done it over Skype, we could have done it over the phone, but we did it in real life. We all come from different directions, and we all converged for a couple of hours. And again, the good old mantra that I like to roll out, socializing is energizing. Uh-oh, the iPad's gone. All right, so I'm flying solo now. Socializing is energizing. It's absolutely vital. And if you don't do it, if you don't socialize, then you don't necessarily get the energy that socializing can bring. So just really important to do it now. I'm going to head on to nutrition. This one's growth, but I haven't put a photo up here, but I'll put it up on the screen, and make sure you look at the show notes if you are listening to this in your podcast, because my beautiful wife, Sarah, I think it was last weekend, somehow made healthy marshmallows. And I know it seems like a paradox. It's like healthy marshmallows. It's like there's no such thing. Now, if you know Jo Whitton and Quirky Cooking, you know that there is such a thing because you've probably made them. But all I know is that this was on a weekend, there was no crying, and there was no, kids, get out of the kitchen! They were actually easy to make because there was no volatility in the kitchen. It was actually very calm. And Sarah made these remarkable marshmallows, thanks to Jo Whitton, Quirky Cooking. I've put the link in the show notes. But we're talking literally healthy marshmallows sweetened with honey. Our ones are pink. You can do all types of things. You can put them in chocolate as well to make Rocky Road. Anyway, if you haven't made healthy marshmallows for your kids, the recipe or the link to Quirky Joe's recipe is in the show notes. I have been the recipient of some of these marshmallows. May has had them in her lunchbox, so has Darby. Tommy's been getting into them too. Sarah's folks are here at the moment, so they've had a little nibble. Great marshmallows, very delicious. Have thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, love and relationships. It's been a last week, as I say this, today is May's last day of term. Darby finished his on Wednesday. Kids are absolutely knackered. I find it incredible that the school term and the energy of the family, particularly the children, they run in parallel. So as the school term gets towards the end, you can see the kids' resilience and their energy begin to decline. So family school holidays, very much an exciting time in our house, just as a reboot more than anything else. But it's good, it's a good opportunity just to reflect on where are you energetically, particularly in your family. Are there signs that you really just need a chill out day? We call them a happy home day. You know, no appointments, wipe the slate clean, not catching up with anyone, no seeing. Just no appointments. Don't have to do anything. Don't have to go and buy any food. Don't have to go there. You can just stay at home. And our kids particularly, they love their happy home days. Whereas I grew up in a family and I'm very much in the mantra. My mum's mantra is there is no place like out. And I am that person. I'm like, when Saturday morning hits, I just want to get out of the house. I want to go and experience the world, community, duck down to a cafe, look around my town and go, isn't this wonderful? I want to get out of the house. But the kids often, they want to stay at home and play with toys and all the rest of it. So sometimes there's a little bit of waxing and waning on finding our groove, and sometimes it's not fun. Sometimes there is a blow up, and sometimes I'm the one blowing up going, I cannot stay at home. I've been in this office, I don't know if you can see, I'm sweating here because it's getting warmer. In the office, I don't have the aircon or the fan on because the noise could go a little bit funny. But come the weekends, I am very much no place like out, and the kids want a happy home day, and that's great. But finding the groove of your family and understanding where they all sit and doing what you can to make it a win-win. The win-win in our family at the moment sometimes is I might duck out maybe just with one child, zero child, or all kids, depending on who's sleeping and who's not and all the rest of it, just to get out of the house. But often I want to get out of the house on the weekend with my family because I've been getting out of the house all week without my family. So you know what? It's the ongoing juggling act of life, knowing thyself, finding your groove, and all the rest of it. But if you're anything like me, it's always win-win or no deal. So I'm constantly wanting to. I am a pleaser. There is no doubt. I have my dad's pleaser persona. I want people to be happy, but I also definitely want myself to be happy. And so I'm very conscious of knowing what I want, but also what's good for the family, what works for the family, and that can be a juggling act. But I can't stand compromise. I do not buy into compromise. I buy into win-win or no deal. There's always a way. As the great Tony Robbins says, there is always a way. As long as you believe there is always a way, then I do everything I can to avoid a compromise, because a compromise is still a win-lose. Someone wins, someone loses. It's just about how much of a win and how much of a loss. So that's love and relationships. Growth. I've been listening to some podcasts this week. I don't ever mention this on this podcast, but one of my favourite podcasts is Sean Croxton's Quote of the Day podcast. He gets 5, 10, 15 minutes of some personal growth speaker to talk about anything, really. And it's great for a commute, a short walk, just a 10 or 15 minute breath of fresh air. I just love it. This week he's had Lisa Nichols. If you've seen The Secret before, you definitely remember Lisa Nichols. Big hair. I see on this image she's changed her hair. Jim Rohn, who's no longer with us, but Jim Rohn, gee, was a wise man. He was a wise man, Jim Rohn. Wayne Dyer, again, no longer with us. Oh, 2 out of 4 here, no longer with us. Love Wayne Dyer stuff, but again, if you're not familiar with Wayne Dyer stuff, go and listen to the Quote of the Day podcast. just get 5 or 10 minute grabs of these guys and see who you like, and then Sean Croxton will tell you what program they came from, and then if you want to go buy that program, you can, all the rest of it. But they're just really good highlights reels of these speakers. Marianne Williamson, wonderful speaker, and it's just a really good podcast, I find, for me, just to get bits and pieces. Sometimes I don't want to listen to a whole program, but it's always nice to get a preview. It's almost like in Amazon, you can read, the first chapter of a book. And then if you read that chapter and you really like it, then you might go buy the book. So similar with this, if you like any of this stuff or that person, you're more likely, obviously, then to go and buy their stuff. So that's been podcast listening for the week. And then the rest is all really continuity goals. So movement, I'm banging on 52 push-ups. That's been a big test for me, but I'm still really in the thick of the push-up challenge. And that's been an intense couple of weeks with 52 push-ups. But anyway, I feel like I've been banging on about that in other podcasts. Wealth is all continuity goals. Now, if you haven't heard me talk about continuity goals, my whole premise is that maintaining a goal or an outcome or a standard for your life is harder than starting it. So starting a diet, starting to save money, starting to pay off debt, starting to be nice to your kids or your boss or whatever, it's all easy to start stuff. It's maintaining or continuing your standards is the stuff. So you would have heard me talk about what I'm doing in movement, in wealth, and also in spirit, soul, and faith. I'm all still doing exactly the same with those. So they're all continuity goals. Again, I don't have to go into much detail on this episode because I've already done that in previous episodes. And so I'm pretty sure that's probably about it that I've got covered on the iPad. I could have, should have, would have charged this more, but this is cooked. This is gone. But more than anything, I would love your feedback on how you're finding this podcast. Truly, I am all for feedback. Doesn't mean I always take people's advice, but I'm very curious as to how you are finding this this format of your exceptional life. So there's many ways you can let me know. Send me a direct email, marcus@marcuspearce.com.au. Hit me up on social media at MarcusDPearce. That's D for David. So that's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Direct message me, comment to any posts. Just let me know how you're finding it. You can put a rating in the iTunes store. If you're in iTunes, that would be great. Just go to Your Exceptional Life, give it a whatever star rating. I'm not going to say 5-star rating. If you think it's 4, give it 4. Let me know. But pop it in there. If you think it's 5, give it 5. That does help other people around the world become aware of other podcasts from other countries. So because I'm in Australia, it's unlikely that many Americans will see this podcast because they see what's in the US iTunes store. But if iTunes see that many people are giving the podcast ratings, then they're more likely to go and put it in their iTunes stores and the rest. So it would be wonderful if you hop into iTunes, but more than anything, just let me know how you're finding it. What shifts are you making? Are you finding that your paradigm for life is changing, that you're beginning to really think about your life in these 8 areas: your life purpose, your movement, your social life, your nutrition, your love and relationships, your growth, your wealth, and your spirit, soul, and faith? They are the 8 key areas of life. If you suck at even one of them, then there's a major consequence to pay, and we don't want that. So maintaining high standards in each area of your life is what it's all about, and I really look forward to helping you continue on that path. So thanks again for your support of my message and this podcast and the rest. I really look forward to announcing. There's so many things going on in the background, so I look forward to making many announcements with you over the next few weeks. I would like to think that the Exceptional Career Breakthrough program will be ready to go when I release the next episode of Your Exceptional Life. So if you're stuck in your career, you're looking to grow, keep a lookout for that. And until next time, as always, may the rest of your life be the best of your life. Bye for now.